Welcome back to Round of the Bases Extra Innings. 4 final questions on YouTube with Jai Mays. If you have not listened to our podcast yet, check out the audio version. Lots of really good stuff. First thing I want to ask you is this. You referenced the influence of your mother, your father, who was blind, preacher's daughter. What was life like in your house growing up?
Life, you know what? Life is very strict for me, and I appreciate it. My parents were there were no excuses in my household. And I appreciate that, because what they were grooming was people who can attribute to society and give back and had something to give instead of being a taker. And my father never wanted us to be victims, ever. That was his thing. He never wanted us to be a victim to anything, and he never wanted us to fall victim. He said he always wanted us to be self-sufficient. And so in my house, we went to church about 5 times a week. And my mother had a bakery. And so I was always in the bakery helping her. My father was blind, so I had to lead him around. And so there was a lot of responsibility on my oldest brother and I. And being the oldest girl, a lot of more responsibility fell on me. I don't know why that is. You know, I think girls do mature quicker than boys do. And I do see that in my children as well. My daughter is very mature. She thinks she's mommy number 2. And then you've got my son, who's very quiet, but he's older. And so a lot of responsibility fell on me. And when my father passed away, my mother went on to become the pastor of the church, and she had to take on all of the leadership roles, but that meant all the responsibility for the household fell on me. And so I was groomed to be a leader. And I am grateful for it. When I was younger, I didn't understand it. I thought, you know, it's not fair. You know, everyone else gets to go out and have fun, and I have to sit in the house and read books and wash the dishes and wash clothes and watch kids. And I never understood that. I never understood why my life wasn't fair until I got older. And now I call my mother and I tell her, I appreciate what you did for me. I appreciate the discipline that you and my father gave me, because now look at the end result.
I love it. It's great. What an influence. Okay, so second question as we round the bases. This thing started off as modest as can be, a true lesson in resilience. You were working out of the house or out of a small office? Tell me about those beginnings.
So working out of the house, this is funny. Working out of the house, we turned our attic into an office. The first week we hire someone, they scam us and take our money, right? Seriously, the first week. And the first week, not only that, we had a power surge. So the whole house could have caught on fire. We had computers set up. The next thing you know, there's a power surge. The whole wall is on fire. So then I had to move downstairs into our living room area, and I have small kids. So my son, we started the business in 2017. My son was born in 2014. My daughter was born in 2016. And I'm also taking care of my nephews, and we have my stepson that's there too. So I have children, I have a living room, and it's just chaotic. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to run business. So then we moved, and there's a little place called, it's really spectacular. Tim Burton opened, it's called Edison Spaces. And I told you about it before, which is, it's not a WeWork, but what it is different office spaces in a very eclectic, posh setting. And so everything is inclusive. So your internet, your furniture, and all of that jazz. And so he's like, hey, won't you come over and come into the office, which is a huge blessing for me, because now I can actually separate work and family. I can actually separate it. And so that's where we started. And this is where we are till this day. And we grew from a little 1-person office to a 5-person office. And when the pandemic hit, everyone just went home. So everyone just started working remote. And so we still have the office, but you know, it's not as full as I'd like it to be. But because we have such mature people, we have people who work for us in Florida, in Maryland, we have people on the East Coast and in the West Coast and in the South. And then of course our leadership team is here. And so we can house our meetings there. But yeah, we started in the attic. And in the first week we got scammed. How about that?
And you're here to talk about it, thankfully.
Here to talk about it, yes.
Third question, and then the last one will be about sort of some growth even overseas and some of the cool things that you're doing. But I want to talk to you about, you said you fell in love with freight, which is not something that you ever could have imagined because you didn't really know about it. What caught you? What did you fall in love with?
Well, family members that we have, my uncles, and they used to have trucks, and I was never really into that. You know, they were truck drivers, and I was a kid. You know how you would be driving on the road and you see a truck and you go woo, woo, as a kid, and then they make the big sound woo woo. Well, I never understood what was on those trucks. I just thought it just made big noises, and I didn't know what they were carrying. But to know that the things that they were carrying for our everyday lives is what took me by storm, and to understand the trade that, even at the ports, you know, how the freight is on the vessels. We've got freight coming in from China, freight coming in from Australia, freight coming in, of course, from Asia, all over, freight coming in from the north, freight coming in from the south. Once it comes through the ocean, it has to port. I fell in love with the system of what happens on the ports, just the drayage of it. Then you bring it from the port, you dray it out, and then you take it to the warehouse. After the warehouse, someone has to package it. And they store it and they package it. And after they package it, then you have another truck that has to come pick it up. I fell in love with the fabrication. The manufacturers, even here in Kansas City, on how they're fabricating all of these great industries. Zahner, for an example, and there's Zahner Metals, and he deals with aluminum, but he's made some of the biggest structures I've ever seen in my life. And the thing is, freight had to move it there. To see oversized freight, to see bridges move on flatbed trucks, a bridge, you know. And I used to see the oversized freight, and you see it on the road, and you had two escorts. You'd have a security guard over here and a security guard, or two police officers who had to escort this huge bridge down the road. I never thought that I would be a person coordinating that. That's why I fell in love with it. I can't hear you.
See, and now I'm the rookie here. Muting because of distractions in the house, like yeah. You have. I was going to say you're hooked. I mean, clearly you're hooked now, and this is your passion.
It is my passion.
Which is such an amazing thing. You're telling our group a little bit about some stuff going on overseas and some of your work over in Africa, if I remember
yes
correctly. Tell me a little bit about that, because it was really, to me, it was really interesting. It was sort of next step stuff, especially in terms of culture and some of the differences.
Yes. So in Ethiopia, I have a friend of mine, and she owns a nice trucking company. It's called Prime Transportation, Inc. Her name is Ifra Ali. And she introduced me to a project where the Ethiopian women over there was no medical supplies. Okay. So women were dying, giving birth and dying, giving birth and dying. There's no doctors, there's no medical supplies, there's no medication. And when she told me about this, she actually went over there to take pictures and to do a documentary. And she brought this to my husband and I. And the first thing we said was, oh my God, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? And so her and I, we both have a foundation. She has Gale Foundation, which is GELLE. And what they do lies with moving medical equipment over to Africa and building clinics. And our foundation, Mays Foundation, we partnered because there has to be a way to help these people. And so what our mission is for that is to build clinics over in Africa. Of course, you know, the freight takes about 6 months to go from port to port. So from Kansas City or from wherever to get over there to Africa. But these are the visions and the missions that we have to help these women over in Ethiopia. And as you can tell now, even post-pandemic, famine has taken place. And so they are in need of so much food and medical supplies and clinics. And so we just have a passion everywhere. You know we can't help everyone, but we can only help who we can help.
Yeah. And you do it with that passion and all that energy, which you do so well. Again, I want to encourage everybody to listen to the audio version of this podcast. If you found us here on YouTube, a lot of really inspiring and great stuff, and a lot of good lessons on leadership and passion and pursuing what you love and taking care of people. So, Jai, again, I really appreciate it. So proud to call you a friend, and thanks for spending time.
Well, thank you so much. And can I add this, Joel?
Yes.
If anyone is interested in our youth supply chain education program or want to be a partner, because we partner with industries like trucking companies, software companies, rail companies, so that students can spend time there for the 5 modes of transportation, please go to www.maysfoundation.com. www.maysfoundation.com. Check out what we're doing. Send us a note if you want to be involved. And even if you want to send a donation to help us out with this for transportation and studies, we'd appreciate it.
maysfoundation.com. I'll make sure we get that in the show notes as well. Check them out. See if you can help. Jai, thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe.